welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria, and today we're going to be talking about all of my 5-star reads from March through May. So it is a little early, like May is not over when I'm filming this. I'm pre-filming, I'm going away, and needed to pre-film. So I do have like a couple of days left in May, only like 3. I highly doubt that I will get a 5-star read. The book that I'm reading right now, which I'm not very far into, I really don't think it's going to be a 5-star read. So I might end up reading like one other book, and if magically that ends up being a 5-star read, I'll include that in my like summer 5-star reads. That makes sense? Okay, cool. So I created a list, went back and looked at all of my 5-star reads from March to May, and I was shocked that I read some of these in March. I could have sworn I read them in January or February, or even like last year. I was like, it seems like ages since I read some of these books, but I'm excited to talk about them. I love all of these books, obviously, because I gave them 5 stars, and we're just gonna get right into it because there are actually quite a few of them. I was surprised. So the first one that we have is one of my favorite books that I've read so far this year. I became absolutely obsessed with this when I read it, and that is Where We Started by Ashley Munoz. This is a motorcycle club romance, and it's second chance. And if you know me, I am not the biggest fan of second chance normally. I don't super love the second chance trope, but there are select books with a second chance trope that I absolutely love, and this is now one of them. So the heroine in this one, her name is Callie, and her father is the president of a motorcycle club. She grew up around this motorcycle club. She grew up because her father was the president, and she is not a fan of this motorcycle club. It is not her happy place. She doesn't really like being there. It makes her uncomfortable. She doesn't like that she's involved in it. And so she would go and she would run and leave her father's property and just like try and get away for a while. And she ended up meeting this guy named Wes, who has a very different style of life than her, and she just wants to be away from the motorcycle club, and so she starts spending a lot of time with him. They become really good friends, and then they fall in love. And when they're a little bit older, about 18 years old, something goes down and they end up breaking up, and she leaves the town, and for many years she does not come back to the town until she finds out that her father has passed away. She and her father have been estranged, so they didn't really talk at all. And so when she finds out that he's passed away, she goes back to her hometown for the funeral, and she comes face to face with Wes, the guy that she had been in love with when she was younger, who is now the president of her father's motorcycle club. And the feelings for the two of them had never went away. They are still so strong, and now they're older. They're ready to like work through some things, although there is so much tension when she first come back because they're really mad at each other, and it's just so good. You can just feel the love between Wes and Callie, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the motorcycle club. I loved the other people in the motorcycle clubs and like glimpses of who's going to be in future books. It was just such a good time. I absolutely loved it and would highly recommend it. The next one that I have is another of my not super favorite tropes, but ended up being a 5-star book, and that is Gunner by Dr. Rebecca Sharp. This is a surprise pregnancy romance. There are a couple of surprise pregnancy romances that I absolutely love, but it's not very often. And I was shocked that I loved this one as much as I did. It's actually my favorite in the series. The series is called the Reynolds Protective Group series, and I was so ready for book 4 to be my favorite in the series, but Gunner just like stuck with me, that book, and it ended up being my favorite in the series, and the only book in the series that I gave 5 stars actually, because I ended up giving book 4 4.5 stars. And this series is about 4 brothers who own a protective agency together. So they're like bodyguards, and Gunner is the like kind of playboy one, and he is known for having one-night stands, having very casual relationships. He is very upfront with women. He does not want a relationship. He's not looking for a relationship. He's not in a position to offer a relationship. And when he meets this woman who happens to be on vacation, they have a one-night stand, they have a great connection, and then they go their separate ways the next day. And it's a couple of months later when Gunnar gets hired to be the bodyguard for the daughter of a very high profile client of theirs, and he goes to the airport to pick up his new charge, the one who's protecting, and it is this woman that he had slept with who is now pregnant with his child, and she's like, yeah, this is your baby. And so he ends up having to protect her, but without letting her know that her father hired him as a bodyguard. And there's a lot of suspense elements going on. It is romantic suspense. It's really, really good. I absolutely loved it. Gunnar and the heroine, whose name, again, of course I can't remember, their relationship grows so much. It's so good. And Gunnar goes from being this person who is not ready for a relationship to being so all in for being a father, being a boyfriend, being a strong man, and it's so, so good, and I just absolutely loved it. Had an amazing time with it, and I would recommend the whole series, but this one's definitely my favorite. The next one that I have is a Bergman Brother book. It's the final book in the Bergman Brothers series, and that is Only and Forever by Chloe Leese. This is Viggo's book, the long-awaited final book in the Bergman Brothers series. It was very bittersweet reading this book because I love the Bergman Brothers series, so I was excited to have another one, but also incredibly sad that this is the final book in the Bergman Brothers series. I feel like it's like end of an era. The Bergman Brothers series has always held a very dear place in my heart. It's the first series, the first books that I ever read where it had characters with chronic illnesses that I related to so strongly. The pain that they were going through, the difficulties that they're going through, even though I don't have the same chronic illnesses, a lot of the symptoms overlap, and it was the first series that I really like saw myself in with my chronic illness, and it'll always hold a very, very special place in my heart. So this is Viggo's book, Viggo and Tallulah. It is not my favorite in the series, but it is still, I still gave it 5 stars. I still really, really loved it. Viggo has not really known what he wanted to do with his life, which was hella relatable. And he decides to finally, he's like, I think I know what I want. And he decides to open a romance bookstore. Tallulah is a woman that he'd known from the like 1 semester of college that he did, and she's also his sister's best friend's sister. So there's like connections there. They've met each other, they know each other. And Tallulah is a very outgoing person, like very like go with the flow, doesn't stay in one place for very long. She ends up needing a place to stay, and Viggo offers, he has an extra bedroom in his like apartment that is attached to the bookstore, and he's like, if you help me with the bookstore, you can stay there. She's like, sounds good. And so it's forced proximity, and they were already attracted to each other, and it's just so good. I really, really enjoyed it, had a great time with it. I love Viggo. I love Viggo. And I just love the whole Bergman brother family, so it's just so good. The next one that I have is one that I've talked a lot about since I read it, and that is Burnout by Rebecca Genchak. This is another one that like stands out as like a potential like future favorite of the year. I loved this book. This is a motocross romance. The hero in this one is a motocross racer, and he had taken a couple of years off to help with his family. He has a lot of family issues, and he's like the sole provider for his family, and so he had to take a couple of years off, and now he's returned and he's been let go from his racing team, and his friend is like, hey, I know you're a racer, but we have an extra spot on our like motocross trick team, and he's like, if you want to do it for the summer as just like staying on your bike and like while you look for another racing team, and he's like, I'm not really a big trick racer, and the guy is like, well, I saw this gymnast who really helped me with like perfecting my tricks and growing my strength and everything, and I can put you in contact with them. And the hero is like, sure. And he ends up meeting the gymnast, who is the heroine, who is this small petite gymnast, and loves pink, and he's like, what is this girl going to do to help me? And the heroine is a Olympic gymnast. She has been trying to come back from a knee injury, so she's rehabilitating her own injury. She has her own issues with the sport, and they end up working together. There's so much banter. There is so much tension between the two of them because they don't get off on the right foot. It's not enemies by any means, but there's a like confrontation when they first meet each other. They don't start on the right foot, but they end up working together, forced proximity, they grow closer, they become friends, and they fall in love, and it's so, so, so good. I absolutely loved it and would highly, highly recommend it. I'm so excited for the next one in the series. The hero has a couple of brothers, and I think that the future books in the series are going to be about his brothers. So really, really excited about that. Cannot wait. Highly recommend. The next one that I have is Skies Over Caledonia by Samantha Young. This is a romance that takes place in Scotland. It's marriage of convenience and opposites attract. So the heroine is the daughter of Hollywood royalty. Her parents are movie stars, movie directors, very famous, very wealthy people, and she's never really been on the same page with them. She has a lot of baggage from her family, from her past, a lot of trauma that she's dealing with, and she loves being in Scotland. Her sister lives there, and it's just where she feels at home now, but she ends up being told by like border patrol, by like the TSA people, that if she leaves Scotland, she's not going to be allowed back in. And so she freaks out about this and is like, I need to become a Scottish citizen. And so she goes to a mutual acquaintance and is basically like, I would like to propose a marriage of convenience. I want to stay in Scotland. You need money to help support your grandfather's farm that you've taken over that you don't want to sell. I will offer you my trust fund if you marry me. And the hero, who doesn't want to take her money, very desperately needs it because he has taken over for his grandfather's farm since his grandfather has passed away, and this is a farm that's very dear to his heart, and it's sinking quickly, and he really, really needs something to bring it back afloat, and so he has not much choice but to accept her deal, and they end up having a marriage of convenience. It's forced proximity. They fall in love. It's so fucking good. The relationship is so good in this. I love that a lot of the conflict from this book is outside of the relationship. A lot of the relationship itself is very all in. It's once they decide to be in a relationship, they are in a relationship. They are all in. It's not like a, let's try just sleeping with each other while we're married, or I like you, I'm attracted to you, I think this can work, let's do it. And they're on the same page, and I really, really loved that. The next one that I have is Fragile Sanctuary by Catherine Cowles. This is a romantic suspense book. It is the newest series from her. It's the first book in this newest series from her, and I really loved this one. I am a huge Catherine Cowles fan. I just really love the way that she writes. Every single review that I write of her is me talking about how perfectly she blends the romance and suspense. One never overtakes the other. I'm never reading the book and like loving the romance and being like, I wish this suspense would just go away, or reading it and just caring about the suspense and the romance is like secondary. It is a absolute perfect blend of romance and suspense, and I love that. The romances are so strong, so detailed, so thought out. The characters are so three-dimensional and have so much personality and backstory, and I love them so, so much. They feel like real people, and the suspense is always interesting. There's always a twist, so it's never like you think you know who it is and then all of a sudden sudden you're like, oh shit, I didn't know that. That's not who I was thinking it would be. There's always like a, I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's always like a, you think it's somebody and then there's a twist so it's somebody else, and I just love it. I read them so quickly, like I never want to put them down because they're just so addicting, and I'm so excited for the future of this series and for the future of the characters that they have to potentially get books. I want a book for everyone, and I just absolutely loved it. Would highly, highly recommend it. And I love Catherine Cowles. The next two that I have are in the same series, and these are definitely 5 stars for the vibes, but I still really love them and would highly recommend this series. So this series is the Mate Games Death. So I would actually really recommend starting with the Mate Games War and then the Mate Games Pestilence and then reading Mate Games Death. I just think it's better to like read them in order. It makes more sense, but they all can be technically read as standalone series, but the 4 books cannot be read as standalones. Does that make sense? So the 4-book series can be read as a standalone from the other 4-book series, but the books inside the series cannot be read as standalones. I hope that makes sense. So the Mate Games Death is a series about it's a reverse harem series, a paranormal series about a heroine who is at this asylum, I guess you would call it. It's like a rehab center, insane asylum for paranormal creatures. You're sent there if you are having issues with your paranormal abilities and you're not fit to be in society, basically. And so the heroine, when she goes there, she believes that she's just going to like a mental health clinic. Like she doesn't even know that she's paranormal when she first goes there. And she finds out all this stuff. She ends up meeting mates, and it's super, super good. Really, really interesting. I can't say too much about it because there's so many things to spoil, but she has 4 heroes. There is a dragon shifter, there is a Nova's Guardian warrior, there is Captain Hook. He's literally Captain Hook. And then there's another hero who I'm not going to say too much about because you get to learn a lot of backstory secrets about him, who I really, really love. And you get so many tropes, so many interesting things. So I ended up giving book 2 and book 3 in this series 5 stars, and then I gave book 1 and book 4 4 stars. But again, whole series is just such good vibes, so fucking fun, and I would highly, highly, highly recommend the audiobooks for this series or for any Kayla Rain and Meg Ann series, because Kayla Rain and Meg Ann do an amazing job of picking narrators, of having full cast, of having like production. The production quality of their audiobooks is just absolutely amazing, and it's such a different vibe when you listen to the audiobook. I honestly don't think that the series would be as enjoyable if I didn't listen to the audiobooks. I mean, the series are hella good. They're just really, really fun in general, but the audiobooks just level them up so, so much. So if you are an audiobook girly and you want to read a new paranormal series, check out Kayla Rain and Meg Ann. The next one that I have is Promise Me This by Carla Sorensen. This is book 3 in her Wilder family series, and this is another trope that I don't normally love, and that is childhood best friends, but this one was done so incredibly well. The heroine in this one is also a single mother, and she has recently moved back to her small town after many years of being away because her daughter wants to be around family, and she is like, okay, we'll move back. She wants to be there for her daughter. The heroine is a mystery writer, and so she can work anywhere. So they move back to her small town, and they're living with her parents, and she's like, I can't handle living with her parents because she has a little bit of a like butt heads relationship with her parents. She and her mom are not on the same page. They do not see eye to eye on things, and she's like, I need to get out of there. And when she was younger, her childhood best friend was the hero, who is Ian Wilder. Is that who it is? It's a Wilder. I can't remember what his first name is. We're gonna say Ian. That could be very wrong. I don't remember. So the hero, he had been away from home for a long time also. He lived in London and he's moved back to be with his family because his father has recently passed away. And he has a very large family. It's a very large blended family. He has 3 siblings, I think, and then he has 3 step siblings, and then he has a half sister, but they all are just one big family, and his father has recently passed away. And so he moves back home to be around family, to be with help his stepmom out, and he buys this big house, and he sees his childhood best friend again, and he offers for her and her daughter to move into his house with him because he's like, you need to get away from your family. I'm gone a lot. I have the room. We're best friends. Move in with me. And his family is like, you're gonna fall in love. Like, you are going to fall in love. Like, it's gonna happen. And he's like, no, I won't. It's fine. We're best friends. And then, of course, they fall in love. And it's so, so good. I absolutely loved this. The chemistry between the hero and the heroine is so, so, so good. And I love the little moments of the hero being a father to the heroine's daughter. It's so cute because you can see how much he falls in love with the daughter and how much the heroine falls in love with him as he parents her daughter. It's so cute. He loves the two of them so fucking much, and they become this cute ass little family, and I love it so, so much, and they're so good together. And the heroine is going through writer's block, and so she is like struggling with her life right now and like feeling centered, and because of that she's like, I can't write, and she just gets so comfortable and so like back to herself. Like, she's able to like be herself again, and I loved it so, so much. It was so heartwarming to read, and I absolutely loved it. Okay, the last one that I have is actually a book that comes out in June that I was given an ARC of, and that is Forbidden King by Laura Pavlov. This is her 3rd book in her Magnolia Falls series. I loved this so much. This is a forbidden brothers best friend romance. So in this series follows a group of guys who are all best friends. They are tighter than best friends. They are brothers. They have been through a shit ton together. They are each other's family. And the heroine is the sister of one of the guys in this group. And the heroine, when she was younger, she has family issues. Her father left her family, and her mother, her mother's boyfriend or her stepfather, I don't know if they're married, but her mother's boyfriend is abusive. And she called the cops when she was younger on her stepfather, and her and her brother were taken from their home, but they were separated. Part of this group took her in and took him in. And so they were not far from each other, and so that they were safe and with people that they knew. And the heroine was taken in by the hero's family, and she had nightmares when she was younger, and he and her bonded and grew very, very close in a way that nobody knew. Just the two of them knew it because they were living in the same house and they were young and they were children. The two of them grew very close, and now that they're older, the heroine has moved back to town. She is opening a bookstore, and the hero is a contractor, and he's helping her out with building this bookstore, and they're still close. They're friends. They're in the same friend group, obviously, because her brother and him are best friends. But they have always been closer than other people know about, because nobody knows about this childhood bonding that they went through. They end up starting to recognize feelings for each other that have developed now that they're older, and they fall in love, and they have this romance, forbidden romance, because they had always sworn, the hero had always sworn sisters were off limits, like in the group. And it is so cute. It is so cute. It is so good. The spice in it is so great. The way that the hero grows is just immaculate, and I just loved this relationship so, so much. It's my new favorite in this Magnolia Falls series, and I would highly, highly recommend picking it up. when this video goes up, this book will already be out, so definitely go pick it up. It is so freaking good. The audiobook was fantastic. I listened to the audiobooks of all of these books, I believe. So I would recommend the audiobooks of all of these books, and it was just such a good book and so great, and I just connected with the romance a lot and absolutely love it. Laura Pavlov is one of my favorite authors. So that is the last one that I have for this video. So like this video if you liked it. Let me know some recent 5 stars of yours in the comments and leave me the cloud emoji. And like, subscribe, stick around, and my Goodreads is also linked in the description, and I write reviews for all of the books that I read, so if you want to see more full thoughts on all of these books or any of the other books that I'm reading, my Goodreads is linked in the description. And yeah, that's gonna be it. So I hope that you have the absolute best day.